Welcome to Section 420, Talkin Yankees, the podcast. Well, finally, Yankees with some good news. Not only getting a couple of big arms back in terms of the starting rotation, Luis Gil and Clarke Schmidt. First time out against the Cubs, both do well there. But overall, the Yankees kind of doing what they should do, against a team like the Cubs, at least taking the first two wins there. And I feel there's a good inflection point, you would say, to just chime in on this, because a lot of things going on with the Yankees. With some roster moves, some guys coming off the IL. And, of course, the big news with, this whole Jasson Dominguez versus Verdugo, Brian Cashman finally weighing in and kind of giving some comments that Yankee fans don't feel too happy about. So figure it's a good point to check in with you audio podcast subscribers. So before we get started, that's why you want to be an audio podcast subscriber. Make sure you subscribe to this podcast, Section 420 Talkin Yankees. And of course you have the YouTube episode as well, equally entertaining. So go to the YouTube afterwards, look for Section 420 Talkin Yankees and subscribe there as well. So the Yankees, past couple of weeks, again, really been floundering. What was really kind of a really soft schedule going into the final stretch of this month here, and dropping 2 out of 3 against the Washington Nationals, dropping 2 out of 3 against the Cardinals at home, dropping 2 out of 3 against the Rangers, and again really not taking advantage of the schedule the Yankees been kind of handed to there, but again kind of keeping afloat with the Baltimore Orioles. And if you want to go to the latest YouTube episode, I kind of look at the stretch beginning with this Cubs series till the end of September, as well as likewise the same amount of games for the Baltimore Orioles, what they have left into September, and see which team probably has the easier path to the AL East title there. And little spoiler alert, I'll say it's the Yankees, but you have to catch the episode to find out why. But of course, you still have to win the games in front of you, and at least the Yankees so far finally doing what they should do, at least taking the first 2 games of the series against the Cubs at Wrigley there. But of course, the news was Luis Gil and Clarke Schmidt both coming back in this series. And again, so far so good for their first test out there. Luis Gil got the opening game. That was the Friday game. Giving the Yankees 6 innings, looking dominating, kind of looking like the Luis Gil we saw back in April and May. 6 innings, 7 strikeouts. That's what you'd like to see. The Yankees take the first game there, 3-0. And in the second game, this was going to be Clarke Schmidt's debut. And kind of a little bit of a wrinkle there, because now with the 6 starters, which I thought perhaps the Yankees might want to roll with the rest of the month there, just because, may have some guys that might be hitting the wall a little bit tired. And of course, we've seen, Cole with the cramping issue in Texas there. Maybe he could use a couple extra days here and there, but nevertheless, Yankees still want to stick with the 5-man. So the little caveat of the Clarke Schmidt start was that Nestor Cortes came out of the bullpen to finish it off, but it all worked aces for the Yankees. Clarke Schmidt with 4.2 innings, and then Cortes finished it off out of the bullpen. Didn't really skip a beat there, even though it was kind of a bit of a change for him. He goes to remaining 4 1/3 inning, and the Yankees take the second game by a score of 2-0 there. Now, you might be a little bit concerned just because, all right, 3-0, 2-0 Wrigley Field, that's kind of a hitter's park there, so you'd think the Yankees would put up some more runs there, so you would be a little bit worried about the offense there a little bit, and that's, like I say there, but of course you would take these wins, because the Yankees haven't been doing that in these series, which they should be winning and dominating a lot more than have been. So even if it's a 3-0 score and a 2-0 score, okay, fine. Overall, though, you like the pitching, you like to have these big pitchers back for the Yankees. And, of course, some other moves, along with Schmidt coming off the IL. In the same day, we also finally get Ian Hamilton back, who's been getting on the IL for quite a while. And, of course, the merry-go-round, as we all saw, to make room for him. Paul Marinaccio, yet again, option down to AAA there, so he was here for about 3 or 4 days, it seems like. So it looks like this is the the bullpen that Cashman is going to go to war with, and of course they made the little tweak in a safe situation. We finally saw Luke Weaver and not Clay Holmes, who against Texas there, giving up a game-winning grand slam. Which again, if the Yankees took 2 out of 3 there, then maybe you don't feel as bad there. But again, Holmes blowing a 4-2 lead in the 9th inning, giving up the grand slam there, and again the Yankees lost that Texas series. And then in the final game, after a little bit of a comeback there, made it interesting. Trent Grisham with a grand slam there, but again the Yankees dropped 2 out of 3 against Texas. But clearly that was the point where finally maybe seemed Boone had it. You saw some of his comments after the game say that they might have to now reimagine what they want to do with Clay Holmes, whether that's taking him out of the closer role or having a quicker hook for him. It looks like once he put a couple of runs on in that Texas game, Boone stuck with him, which he's kind of done most of the season, and maybe hoping that Clay Holmes with a single get a ground ball and get out of the inning, but unfortunately that was not the case. So it looks like they finally made the move to try out Weaver there in the closing role. Now I'll comment a little bit after that, but nevertheless, at least Weaver in this spot did come through. Now he kind of said he quote-unquote blacked out of the whole thing. I mean, I guess then you amped up and pumped up a little bit, and again, he performed well, got the save there, but you kind of want someone who's like kind of be cool-headed and kind of be in control of the situation. I can understand the anxiety and the energy levels up in that whole thing, but I just don't like that whole idea that he blacked out and it was just kind of a bug out for him to do that. I mean, you like someone to say, all right, yeah, I stepped in, it was no problem, just, I could do this the same way in the 8th inning or the 7th inning or the 9th inning. No big deal to me. So Kind of a little bit worried about that, but again, I'll kind of get into that afterwards. But nevertheless, at least came through with flying colors on his first outing there. And Nestor Cortes said he didn't love the whole idea of coming out of the bullpen, but again, this is the first go-around. Later, I believe this next week, the Yankees will face the Red Sox, and then Cortes will be back into the rotation officially to start one of those games there. But you like to see that from Schmidt, and of course, you like to see Luis Gil back there as a starter. But if you've been watching mainly more of the YouTube episodes, I kind of been saying I think Luis Gil is going to be better suited out of the bullpen for this Yankee, because this bullpen, again, is going to be the Achilles heel for the Yankees going in. I mean, you already don't have Clay Holmes as your closer, or at least you're questioning if he could close games there. Okay, great. Weaver's 1-for-1, fine, but we don't know what's going to happen the rest of his way here in September. And then once we get into the postseason, where's Holmes' head's going to be at? Where's Weaver's going to be head out? And someone like Luis Gil, if he could just come out and be a fireballer, maybe that's the guy you're going to have to lean into, just to whether to pitch 2 innings, 3 innings, because he is stretched out to be a starter there. So you could kind of abuse him a little bit out of the bullpen, a couple of days in a row, again, multiple innings, or maybe you go to him as a closer and just, hey, he might just be the best arm, the strongest arm, the best option out there to close games there. So all remains to be seen for the Yankees there. But at least, big news there, getting those 2 back and at least getting some, getting some positive results out of the 2 of them. So we'll see how they go for the rest of September. Now, Cashman chimed in on the whole Verdugo situation where fans have been saying, all right, we understand maybe you don't want to bring up Jasson Dominguez September 1st. Okay, finally we'll work him in somewhere. But Cashman come out saying that he wants to put together a team that feels it gives him everyone else the best chance to win. And they feel right now with Verdugo in there, that's their best chance, which has fans kind of scratching their head a little bit. Now, Verdugo has been hit a little bit better, and I kind of covered that in the most recent YouTube episode. Since changing to the non-dyed, the updated Franklin batting gloves that was giving his hands some rashes and blisters, pretty much the rest of the season. So, yes, he has been hitting better average-wise, but not really with the power there. I mean, he hasn't really been impressive power-wise there. We know what Jasson Dominguez could do with power there, and whether it's the September game or of course in the playoffs, hey, you got a couple of runners on and you got someone like him who could turn a score and give the Yankees 3 runs with one swing of the bat there. That's a much bigger weapon than what Verdugo gave you there. So fans are scratching their head a little bit. Now, I understand Cashman, the spot he's in right now. Look, to get Verdugo, not only had to give Greg Weissert up, but 2 other prospects, and Weissert's been a pretty decent arm for the Boston Red Sox out of the pen there. So I got to understand the one point, like, look, okay, I had to give up prospects for this guy. He's here, he's hitting a little bit better, and now I'm going to bench him. It's like, all right, you bought this thing, you have to kind of use it, even though, yes, you have the much nicer and shinier Jasson Dominguez waiting on the shelf there to bring out, but then what do you do with the Verdugo toy you bought there? So I can understand the predicament Cashman's in a little bit, but if you're going to say he's the best option to win there, if you want to say his defense is better than Jasson Dominguez, I mean, they have their evaluations, they know these players better than we would know there, but I just find it hard to believe that Verdugo gives the Yankees a better chance to win in the postseason than Jasson Dominguez does. So will all remain to be seen. Again, there's still time for him to come up and again, perhaps find himself onto the postseason roster if that's where the Yankees go, which they should, knock on wood, unless there's a humongous disaster this month. But not the response that Yankee fans are looking for. But again, just throw Cashman a little bit of a lifesaver. I can just understand the predicament of Yen, where, look, you made a trade to bring this guy in. He's been your starting left fielder for pretty much the whole season. I know he has been dynamite out there, but he has been hitting a little bit better. And look, what do? You just can't take a guy like that who's an everyday player and you put your resources into, and then you just kind of throw him to the side there. So I can understand that predicament, but I just don't think, Yankee fans are going to be too happy there, especially if they have a postseason there where not only Verdugo doesn't hit, but they kind of just have a lackluster offensive performance and get bounced out of like the first round there. I don't know if Cashman survives that. That'll be hard to remain to be seen. Again, he has this year, another 2 years under his contract as GM there, so if they have an early bounce out and where it's a lackluster offense and Verdugo doesn't do well, I don't know. I mean, at some point, Hal, they have a great loyalty to each other, but at some point, Hal would probably have to maybe pull the trigger on finally getting rid of Cashman, and maybe, and of course, not having Boone come back next year as well. Might be a total clean house. So that's just getting way ahead there. But again, fans not too happy about the whole Dominguez versus Verdugo situation with that. Now, as for Luke Weaver and Holmes here, look, you want to try Weaver out for this month, and then look, if he just seems accustomed to it and he has nerves of steel and he doesn't blow saves like crazy like that and maybe want to go to war with that and you switch the guys around with it, I guess, it's okay, but I'm also okay if you want to just go back to Holmes being the closer there, just because, all right, maybe you figure you take him out for a couple of games, he'll just kind of clear his head, and then you throw him back into a safe situation, and then maybe it snaps into his head again, and he has a good run for him to remain of the month. And if you want to, look back at Holmes at his start of the season, again, his first 20 innings, gave up no runs, he was almost perfect, and he was like 16 for his first, save situations there. So, again, we saw a body of work where he was absolutely dominant. Then he kind of hindered a little bit, and of course, overall, yes, we all know about the whole 11 blown saves this season, which leads the majors. So yeah, we all know that. But again, at the same time, we've seen his body work that he had in April, May, and early June, where Holmes was pretty much untouchable. So can he maybe get back to that? And then if that's maybe the stronger weapon going into the postseason versus Luke Weaver, possibly. But if it turns out that Luke Weaver might be the 9th inning guy and Holmes has to be the 8th inning guy, I think they could both maybe just settle that way as well. A lot of times he had a split time with Chapman, who's kind of on his way out, and Holmes was kind of the 8th inning guy, and then Chapman was a closer, and then eventually they flip-flop, where once Chapman lost a job, it was Holmes the closer and Chapman. So Holmes has kind of been through this before, so if he sort of becomes a de facto 8th inning guy, I think he can handle it, but you kind of, Weavers has never done this before, so you kind of throw him out of nowhere. And traditionally, he came up originally as a starter, so he's a starting pitcher. Yankees converted him to a bullpen guy. He's had a very good season for the Yankees. Again, he kind of took the place of that Michael King / Jonathan Loizaga role, perhaps being the 8th inning guy, and perhaps even going multiple innings where you bring him into the 7th, maybe to get an out or two, and then finish off the 8th, and then hand the ball over to the closer. So Luke Weaver's done that all before, and can he do this 9th inning role? We'll see. He's got the stuff. I don't want to say he's going to be a top dominant closer or anything like that, but he's got the stuff to at least get the job done. But I don't think really the book's completely written on Holmes yet. They might still just throw him out there some more opportunities to see if he can get back, snap back into it. Because again, we have seen him being dominant at least the early part of this season. So that's the episode. Yankees get good news. Again, Louis Seal, Clark Schmidt passed their first test with flying colors. The Yankees, shockingly, take advantage of a soft team that they should be beating. Now, I want to call the Cubs soft. They are a couple games over 500. But again, this after losing to teams where you shouldn't be losing, to take the first 2 out of 3 in this series, they get a series win at Wrigley on the road. I would take that as a plus for the Yankees. Again, Schmidt and Heel coming through. You got Ian Hamilton back there. And again, this is going to be the Yankees bullpen pretty much probably away there. Not the strongest. And, at some point they get there, I think Louis Seal is going to be that X factor they're going to need, because the bullpen at itself right now, it's just not good enough. It's not strong enough. It's not championship quality enough. And, I don't know if you saw Chris Mad Dog Russo, they were asking him about the whole Clay Holmes situation. He broke down really across baseball that a lot of the teams really have struggling bullpens, and they've had to take a lot of guys. Even look at the Baltimore Orioles, who had Craig Kimbrell in there early in the season. He just wasn't getting the job done, and he's a veteran. And some people say maybe a borderline Hall of Famer there, and they yanked him out of the closer role. So a lot of bullpens been shaky around baseball, and a lot of closers haven't been getting the job done. So it's not the Yankees the only team with this problem there, so maybe want to take a little solace in that. This seems to be a thing around baseball. I guess you would say Emmanuel Clase is probably a steady Eddie all the way throughout baseball. It's fine, but overall, you'd say the Guardians have a great, not locked down bullpen as well there. So bullpen seems to be an issue for a lot of teams there. So I guess you could take solace in that. So that's the episode. We'll catch you next time.